What's up, you guys? Welcome to my workout. Today is March 3, 2024. Happy Sunday. It is day 22 of Peptide Therapy with Merrick Health. And yesterday was the first day I could feel a noticeable difference. The joint I'm really testing is my left knee, the lateral or the outside of my left knee. I was able to actually throw a few roundhouse and even, I guess if you could call it a question mark kick to my heavy bag, and I haven't really been able to do that for a long time because not just the impact but the torque it puts on that part of my knee is usually even on good days, even in younger years, it took me a long time to just warm up to that, and my knee couldn't even tolerate the warm up to that. So yeah, I'm also, just to let you know, for the first, 18 or so days, I was injecting subcutaneously into my belly fat here, but now I've actually started administering recently, in the last 3 days now or so, I've been actually placing the injections at the site of where I want to get the effect most. So mostly it's in my outer left knee, and also in my I don't know if you can see, but my big toe and my inner right ankle area. Those are the two most problematic parts on me. So, and also that's getting easier to do as well, kind of. All right, today is like always, this is my actual, I'm not even going to call it a workout, it's a mobility thing. Most of what I do is very high tension, where I'm trying to use my entire body under prolonged, some of the repetitions I do involve multiple body parts, some stabilizing while others move, and that just causes a lot of, it integrates and connects and links everything together in a way that I want. But at the same time, if I do too much of that, I end up just being locked up. My nervous system just gets, and a lot of my, I'll demonstrate in a moment, my mobility issues, there's no tendons or ligaments that are getting shorter or there's nothing that's physically impeding my mobility. Most of it is a neurological inhibition. It's my nervous system, for whatever reason, trying to protect me from going into ranges of motion that it doesn't feel it can either get me to, or that I can return from safely for some reason, so these are what I'm going to do here today is really weird. I tend not to post this to my social media because it looks ridiculous, and I make it up as I go. This is not scripted. I don't have a routine. I feel where I'm restricted, and then I just start kind of, I'm not a dancer, but I start going into a kind of a thing where I try to just wiggle and I shake and I just do this weird stuff. The looser I can get, I found that's one of the best mobility exercises for me. Some of the other mobility things like this, they themselves start putting tension into the joints and the systems I'm trying to actually loosen and mobilize. So, all right, that being said, let me get started. Okay, so, all right, with my feet together, I like to call this zero position. I'm not warmed up. I never warm up before I start the camera. So, and if you're wondering why my head is shaped like this, there's a microphone here to assure you the best sound quality that you deserve. Okay, so this is my this is my overhead mobility. If I'm not compensating by lifting my chest, I'm just dialing my chest straight ahead. This is it. I can force it to here. That's it. Hey, do you mind? Sorry. Don't do that, you. Hey, quiet. Hey. Okay. So, once again, all right? If I'm here, this is external rotation. This is you know what? Okay. Hey, get over here. Get inside. Cut it out, you nutcase. Like I said, this is totally unscripted. All right. So, okay, external rotation without compensation, feet together, and this is internal rotation. I can force it to the, but who cares? It sucks in either way. Okay, so what I do is I first start with my lower body, because for me, a lot of the tension in my upper body actually comes, if my lower body is tight, there's no way I'm going to get my upper body loose. Okay, so if I have any tension in my lower body, if any of my joints are tight and restricted, then trying to actually get anything going in my upper body, I have found is not effective. Okay, so first thing I do is the Elvis. I just put my foot, so just take a comfortable stance, and I just see if I can. What I'm trying to do here is I start with my weight on the ball of my big toe, and I'm transferring it across the ball of the other toes to the little toe, and then bringing it back. So it's like this, and I'm just trying to do it smoothly. Okay, and right now it doesn't feel that smooth, but that's okay. And then I try a few in the opposite direction. And I don't worry about isolating it too much. I just kind of do what my body wants to do. I think, in the past okay, let's go to the right side. In the past, I get kind of caught up in these very rigid standards, of movements. And I found that the more I focus on trying to uphold a standard, the less I'm attuned to actually what's going on in my body, and the longer it takes for me to get the desired effect, if I get it at all. So I've learned now to just kind of let the body do what it wants to do. Don't worry about following like the standards. I don't. Like right now, this foot, my right big toe, the tarsal joint or the metatarsal. Oh fuck, who cares? It's stiff, so I'm gonna spend a little bit more time on this. I'm not gonna try and go big. I'm not gonna try and make one side look or feel like the other. I'm just treating each side by itself. Okay, now I'm able to isolate more here. And like I said, this might be for a lot of you kind of boring, but like I said, well, maybe I didn't say this, but I'm more concerned with being honest with you guys and showing you exactly what I do for those of you who care, than trying to just clip out the glorious, cool parts and posting them as a short to Instagram, and trying to make, whether I intend to or not, making myself look like I'm more than I really am, because I'm just a dude, just like you are. If you're not a dude, then I'm a person just like you. Okay, so, all right. So, and then I kind of shake my feet out. Ooh, they feel stiff. See, they should go flip, 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 flip. I should be able to, like if I have water in my feet, I should be able to flick that water off. I also want to make sure that I can balance on one foot while I do this, So just like here. All right. Now, I'm just going to just make sure this is, and I'm not grinding my big toe and the ball of my big toe into the floor. I'm actually just kind of lifting it and just flipping. I'm flipping. So if I'm kind of doing that, right? But just keeping a light contact with the ground. I want to try to avoid my feet sliding out to the side like that. I want to just right here, right here, right here. And the first thing I'm testing for in any of these things is if anything hurts. Because if anything hurts, I'm going to actually reduce the movement and just kind of find where I can polish and refine where that area is a little bit restricted or pain inhibited. Okay, now this one's funny. All right, my feet together. I like to have my feet together for this, okay? So I'm gonna do hip circles. And I don't know whether to call these hip circles or knee circles because I'm trying to do both in a way. But I'm accommodating what my knees want to do. My hips, I can bend and twist and turn a little bit more, but my knees, they can only take so much torque or twisting force into them. So, and okay, so like right as I come out here, tightness and restriction here. So I'm good, and then, ooh, and I can feel that. So this, whatever's going on up in the hip here, I can feel that translate down the outside of my leg. And that doesn't cause any problems on the outside of my right, but that might actually dump me over to my left and make me overcompensate, and that's why I have a left side knee issue. Who knows? All right, now I'm going to go same thing on this right side. So, and that's why I like to do this stuff. As goofy as this looks, and also, you know, right now I'm kind of like doing this. I'm leaning forward because that's what my body wants to do. But as I start warming it up, and with this joint mobility stuff, there's a standard that I try to work towards, but I don't start with that standard. I start with, like, my body, if I'm so stiff, like this is all I can do, and I'm crooked and bent, that's okay. I'm gonna start with that. I'm gonna let my body trust that I understand what it's going through. And then if I just like a kid, if I'm cool with the kid and as I'm showing him a new game or a new playground or something, you know, I'm not just gonna throw him down the slide. I'm gonna like push him on real gentle on the swing at first and just, you know, kind of build up to it. And then, so right now, okay, so, and now I'm starting to feel a little smoother in both directions. So now I can try to come up a little higher. Yeah, I know this looks funny, and you can leave all your hula jokes and the Hawaii jokes in the comments. That's fine. But once again, now I'm going to try to isolate. Once I'm starting to feel a little loose, this is starting to kind of, it's coming around because I'm being nice to it. I'm being gentle with it. And it's weird when you hit I'll speak for myself. When I hit a restriction, before I used to be like, all right, fuck you, man. God damn it, get that shit going, right? But honestly, that would just make the whole area guard and freak it out. So like yelling at your kid, you know, the first time you're playing ball with it. But if the first time it's just like, all right, that's cool, man. You don't have to catch the ball. You don't have to throw it accurately. I'll go and chase it. And then all of a sudden you're, ooh, all right, so we're getting better. Okay, so I'm getting this going. All right, now, whew. Okay. And then, yeah, see, I'm now starting to feel a little, as I loosen that up, stuff like this starts to feel, and I just want to feel like it's just easy. I'm gonna flick some water. As I'm doing that, I'm a little tight in the right hamstring. Not so bad usually my right leg is my better kicking leg, but I'm feeling a tug right there. Pretty cool here. And I'm not trying to look like, you know, a karate master or anything. I'm just flicking water off my legs. Just want to be loose. I'm trying to train my, you know, the other day I did this little high tension barbell thing where I'm, you know, like I said, that's cool, but I also need to be able to teach the muscles and the joints that are attached to be loose and just, okay. Also, I want to make sure that the space behind me is also right here, because, you know, the hip flexors and the quads, they get a little tight. And so I'm using the glutes and the hamstrings as they contract. I'm trying to get reciprocal inhibition at a high speed into the quadriceps and the hip flexors but I'm not trying to force anything. And I can do butt kicks. That just kind of puts it teaches the quads and to a degree the hamstrings how to elongate quickly. And that's a really important thing. I like to teach the muscles to be able to struggle for long periods of time, but I also like to teach them to relax very quickly, or one side contract, the other side relax. Okay. All right. Then we'll do a few shields. This just kind of opens up the inner, it just opens up the hip. You know, a lot of hip opening exercises are very slow, but a lot of groin injuries occur at high speed. So I sometimes just like to prepare the nervous system to elongate, open the groin and the inner thigh at what we call speed of competition. As I'm doing this, once again, if I'm kind of tight on any kind of hip flexion or knee raise movements, I know that bending as you lift is a compensation. And on days where I'm tight, you know, before I used to try to be all rigid and be like, fuck, I'm not gonna do that. But if on a given day, this feels a place where you're smooth and it's kind of easy, then give that to yourself, because you know if you do that just a little bit, and once again, if you're kind to your body and your nervous system, then you can start getting a little taller. And because lifting my knee high is not the goal, and lifting it smoothly is, I don't care if as I get taller, if this becomes my new range of motion, that's okay. I never make mobility work or achieving a certain position. That's never the goal. It's getting as far as I can towards the goal as smoothly as I can with the least amount of internal resistance. I am trying to teach my body to disinhibit itself. Okay, so now we kind of got the knee, the ankles, knees, hips. Now we're going to go into rotation. Now this is a classic Tai Chi exercise. If right now, as I go in this direction, if I let my arm just snap around behind me, that is going to hurt because this is just tight. Okay, my internal rotation on the right shoulder is an ongoing struggle. It used to be okay, but as I'm getting older, and you know, I do make a lot of mistakes with my diet. Here's something I might not have told you guys, and if you stick around through these videos, you'll find I confess a lot of stuff that I don't just say outright, but my entire life, I've averaged less than 5 hours of sleep. And I know that's super bad. And it is probably why I'm tight and why I got cancer when I was 42. And it's probably responsible for everything that's going wrong with me right now. But I'm aware of that now. Before I didn't care. I did. Most of the results I've gotten this far are in spite of myself, not because I'm doing anything right. That's why I don't talk a lot about my diet, because I don't have any secrets. And sometimes, honestly, my diet is so random, so unstructured, and so in ways bad, it's outright shitty, that I don't like to talk about it a lot because it might give, I don't want to set a bad example. You know, I'm stuck between being honest with you guys and not looking like I'm mocking the industry or, you know, people who really attend to their diets, because my diet is a disaster. It's gotten better, but I've slipped a little, if I'm being honest. You know, I eat lots of carbs. Okay, tons. I'm not on a low carb diet. I try to avoid sugar, but I still eat pastries. I had ice cream last night. I watched that movie, Ready Player One, with my wife. That was cool. yeah, those Apple Vision Pro goggles, they freak me out, and they also, they're really tempting. It's kind of a weird mixture of feelings about it. Okay, now you see, as I'm just chilling, I'm talking to you, I'm not making a big deal out of this. I'm starting to get my internal rotation, like this thing. I heard I was supposed to try and slap my kidneys with the back of my hands. So, all right. Okay, so that's feeling pretty good. Now, here's where it gets weird. I'm just gonna, cause that repetitive movement, you know, with repetitive movements, I have found that they start to fixate me. So now I have to kind of, because I was all here and here, and it requires a little bit of horizontal adduction from my pectoralis. I'm going to just kind of, so I'm just rolling my shoulders, and I'm not just doing this. I'm not just trying to move my legs. I'm going side to side. As I'm shifting, as I'm going side to side, I'm trying to generate, you know how you use your legs to do a hula hoop type of movement? I'm doing a similar thing. I'm going like this with my legs, and I'm combining. So as I shift over to this leg, I'm rolling this shoulder back, and then I'm using, because I get a little bit of momentum, okay? But if the upper body kind of cancels the actual movement of the legs, because now the energy that's being expressed in this is now being expressed through the movement of the shoulders. So, okay, and then coming forward, I kind of do a little bit, and you see I'm stiff. I'm like, this is me, okay? And look, my arms are getting all like this. So I'm trying to be not like, I gotta be a loosey-goosey now. But now if I try to make my arms too loose, I lose the coordination, my ability to, because I needed this tension, because, you know, I'm always, all right, so, I mean, but if I just try to be totally loose, like just let the arms, now I gotta retrain the scapulae and associated muscular to just kind of let go, all right? Now here's what, the teacup. You guys have all seen this one, right? Where I'm supposed to hold a cup of tea like this and then do all this stuff with that. Okay, I can't do that, all right? I mean, I just can't, and you know what? I don't care. What I care about, let me show, this is my, okay, ready? For real, this is my, okay, this is all, okay, and then from here, this is what I can do on my right side right now. This is easy. Okay, once again, I wanna, before I ask my body to mobilize, right now it's pretty clear this is what my body can and wants to do right here with this function, okay? So what I have an internal rotation and then kind of an external rotation, right? Internal rotation here and then an external rotation. That's what it wants to do, okay? And I'm gonna honor, I'm gonna respect that. Left side feels, you might, I don't know if you're a real, if you have an eye, you can tell the left side feels a little better, right? But still, I'm not putting a teacup in my hand and doing this, and once again, that's a standard I'd like to be able to meet, but today, if I'm just doing joint mobility, if I had to strain and do all of this stuff just to do, now I'm just packing tension back into the system that I'm trying to, would it be disinhibit? Not sure of the terminology, but yeah, so, and then another thing, I like to go to what I call a zero position with my feet. So with this, I can do all kinds of compensations. I can move my hip around, and that's a good thing. But also if I'm wanting to just isolate the shoulder function or the scapular function or something, then I just do it right from here. And then I have to come up with a different solution And it's not just in the shoulders, it's in my entire body, but right here. And then let's go backwards now. Oh boy. I'm not even sure if I'm doing this properly. And you know what? I don't care. Once again, I'm just gonna move where my body wants to move on this. And I'm trying to see how much of my body I can add to this, given this position. And if some of the reps look a little weird, and if they don't feel great, that's okay. I still learned something from that. I learned what not to do, or I learned how to do it better, depending on how you look at it. Okay, this side now. Ooh, that just feels creaky. And I'm also, instead of trying to make I'm trying to lengthen myself out as much as I can here. I'm trying to create the most exaggerated radius I can and lengthen to here. And then I'm going to bring this long radius around here. This is very tight right here. So if I lean back, you know, a lot of what I'm doing here is I'm compensating. And you know, compensating in movement is sometimes considered, it seems to be spoken of in a bad way. Honestly, compensation, I was taught that an athlete is not the person who's the biggest, the strongest, or the fastest. The best athletes are the ones who can adapt to changing conditions in the most efficient and effective way. And to me, the nature of being able to do that, seems to be your ability to compensate, right? Now, if it's repetitive compensation due to an injury, yes, that could lead to issues. But if we're just messing around and having to, use just testing different strategies of movement, then it's okay. All right. Once again, I don't plan what I'm doing here. I'm just going with, I'm just going with what my body is telling me it wants to do. Now, here's where I'm big time restricted. I'm going to go back to my zero position in the feet. Reaching behind me. This is an easy, right here. This is it. Okay? This is as high as I can go. This is as far back as I can go. And now I just want to come back. On this side, this is as high as I can go. This is as far back as I can go. And also when I'm doing this, I'm not just twisting around my shoulder, my glenohumeral joint. My shoulder is a system. It's connected to my rib cage all the way through my legs. So if I'm a tank and my rib cage is the turret and this is the cannon, what I want to do is where the cannon can no longer move, I'm going to now rotate the turret to accommodate, and then now the cannon can move here and the turret's going to bring it back to here. So I'm trying to, and I keep a slight bend in my knees so that my legs, all right? And then so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just try to, see if I'm going slow like that, that's building tension and my muscles are starting to burn. I don't want that. I want to teach them how to be loose and how to chill. We're going to use a little momentum to just glide and get smooth. And I don't care if I can't do a big circular front to back, whatever. And right there, I stop because I'm starting to get tired. It doesn't take a lot. And that tells me something. A lot of my restriction, when muscles get tired, they get tight. Whether they're tight at rest or only get tight when they get tired. So if I'm getting tired this quickly back here, it might just mean that if I increase my work capacity and my ability into the muscles here that are right now getting tired, then in the future, because they have more confidence in their ability to lengthen themselves, and then for other guys to bring them back safely so that they can bring my joint here. without any threat to the joint or other parts of the system, then all of a sudden I might have more mobility, because I believe that my lack of mobility, if we're just talking about my shoulders, comes from overusing some parts of my shoulders and underusing other parts of my shoulders, and that creates the imbalances that tell the total system to restrict any further forays into these areas that might not be recommended. Okay, now I'm going to go back to a zero position, and we're going to do kind of like a freestyle swimming motion, but this is where I'm at. Okay, so and right now I'm not turning my arm at the shoulder. I'm using my right leg. I'm using torso. I'm trying to drag my arm into the movement with my rib cage. I'm using my obliques, my lateral core to create this. I want a systemic movement, but I want it to be loose. And then same thing on this side. Yeah, left side is much looser. It just feels freer, and in all fairness to my right, I did have non-arthroscopic. Before we had arthroscopic available, at least to me in Hawaii in the 80s, I had what's called a Bristol procedure done in my right shoulder. And they just cut a big 6-inch puka in the front of my shoulder, pried it open, did this and that, put a couple of stainless steel screws in here, and for the first 40 or so years of my life, didn't affect me at all. But at 55 years, maybe that surgery is starting to just get a little rusty. So, and that's what it is. So I'm not going to force that. Okay, so now once again, just shoulder rolling. Once again, as I'm shoulder rolling, I'm driving with my hips and trying to coordinate. Ooh. And when I do that, I can actually feel tight parts in my lower back. And I am going to put a little space between my feet. I do need to have a little, so I'm just trying to, and I'm just trying to roll, just trying to move yeah. Okay? And this looks funny. I am not a dancer. I suck at dancing. My wife doesn't even like to dance with me at weddings because I always embarrass her. Oh, another thing, as I'm talking to you and trying to get all here, my head is all falling off my shoulders here. So let's see what my actual mobility is like when I stack it over the rest of the spine. Ooh, now it's a little less. But now I can start feeling my neck. All right, ooh. So, yeah, because your shoulders are held up, or your arms, the only reason why they're up here, because there are points, there are structures here. If we pulled off all the muscles on the back of your head and your neck, your arms would drop right down to your pockets, and you wouldn't like that. So if ever you have like neck stuff, just stretching your neck, okay, that's one thing, but getting loose in the shoulders, and a little bit of that. Yeah, see, now if I try to isolate this into, like, so right now, oh yeah, okay, okay, if we're being honest, let's go to the zero position. Shoulder slide. This is all I have right here, okay? And I've learned that if this is bound and tight and restricted, then there's no way I can expect to have a lower back that's not tight and achy, as well as shoulders and neck. So if I just but I'm not going to rush this. If this is all I got right now, that's fine. And now my arms are starting to burn from holding them up. So I'm not going to torture myself. I'm just going to do whatever it takes to shake that, to remove that lactic acid and just refresh everything. Okay. All right, now my neck. Okay, for neck, you know, when I stretch my neck, if I'm being honest, it gives me a few seconds of relief, and it does feel nice to go, all that, but I believe the tension that resides in my neck, it's not there from a lack of stretching. It's there because I haven't used my neck enough. So every day, I believe all my muscles are given a budget of potential energy. And that budget, the expectation based on our evolutionary experience as humans on this planet is to use that budget and more every day. And, just like if every day you had a can, every day of the year you stuffed $1 in that can, it'd be nice, right? Because that can would be getting fuller and fuller of money. But get to a point, if you don't spend any money in the can, where you can't get any more money in the can, and then things start getting uncomfortable. You really have to struggle to get actual money in the can. So you can actually go over budget on potential energy in a muscle, and if you don't use that muscle, stretch all you want, but that energy is still backed up in there, and it needs to be spent before you can actually get everything to let go. All right, so I'm starting to get dizzy from doing that. So I'm gonna now widen my stance, and I'm just gonna shake. Because now that I've seen the videos of these guys shaking and shaking and shaking. And at first I used to think that looks ridiculous, But honestly, what's more ridiculous than that is this range of motion. By the way, it's getting better. Ooh, okay, you see? I didn't do any stretching. I'm just shaking and just kind of moving around, okay? So, once again, no longer concerned with looking cool or posting, all the badass shit. I can do that on the shorts, but today, this is it. By the way, if you're still here, you rule. But, okay, now... Okay, another thing is I've been standing upright a long time, getting a little, so even as I'm doing all this loosey-goosey stuff, I've been standing upright, and that by itself is starting to get a little fixated. So now let's just drop in a few. I'm not really jumping. I'm trying to focus on trying to enter the squat and see how quickly. It's one thing to be able to squat super slow with a lot of weight and do that, but it's also important because trips, slips, and falls, they occur at very high velocities, to be able to enter your limbs quickly. Right now, changing the stance, I'm just trying to see what range of motion I can drop into without any pain. If I go deeper than that, both knees are going to hurt, maybe even the ankles. But right now, that feels cool, right? Call these trapdoor squats. If there's another name for them, cool, call it what you want. But a lot of the stuff I do, I haven't even named it, and now that I'm making these videos, I'm having to come up with names. But to me, it's like having it standing on a trap door and just going and just dropping in. So once again, and just one more time. Okay, again, and okay. All right. All right. you know, compared to a lot of you, I'm still, I mean, you know, I'm still bound up. This is my, after, I don't know how long this video's been, but after all of this, this is where I'm at. I still can't get snow angel arms overhead. Okay, if I'm being honest, I'm not gonna force anything. I'm not gonna lift my chest up to go here. If I keep everything honest, this is where I'm feeling restricted. So now I have to come forward. This is the area where I can pretty much, this is my, after all of that, and then go opposite direction, just showing you, this is honest, this is real, this is it. Okay? Horizontal abduction. This is where it ends. I can force it to here, but I've learned there's no point to that. I mean, who am I impressing? It still sucks, even if I go farther. But this is it here, okay? And overhead. It might not look better, but it is. It's a little easier for me to get up here, all right? And I'm just, main thing is though, my neck no longer feels tight, my shoulders no longer feel tight. Before I started this video, I just felt like, you know these guys you see walking around, they're always like this? I mean, that might, I don't know, might look cool, but it doesn't feel cool. It depends on what you're into, of course, but for me, I like to be kind of loose. Anyway, if you're still here, especially if you're still here now, thank you so much. I hope in some way this is helpful, and you guys have a great week. Much aloha.